It's Thursday, midday. You're going to learn something today. Just got through Bozeman, Montana, and stopped, topped off the tanks, took our 30, grabbed a bite to eat. GPS says we got 5.5 hours of travel, and our ELD says we got 5.5 hours left on the drive climb. So we're gonna push. We gotta push today. We're gonna try to make it. Get darn close, if not there. I got a little something I'm gonna teach you guys today. I'm starting to find out not a lot of guys know about it, especially guys that don't have CDLs. I'm starting to see that apparently it doesn't seem like they're teaching this anymore in the CDL school. I don't know. I don't see guys doing it. I see guys doing the complete opposite and getting themselves in trouble. So we'll go over that today. Alright guys, so as you can see, we're on this mountain. It's kind of hard to video right now because these cars are just flying up on our asses here. And it's 90 degrees out. So first thing I do when I start climbing is I take the truck and I put it in manual mode. Here we go, we gotta get over again. Got an oversize up here. So I put it in manual mode, and so this is a 6-speed. So I start in 6th up the hill, and then when I get down to about 60 miles an hour, I drop it into 5th. And slow and steady wins the race. We don't have to go hauling up the hill like that guy. He's puffing smoke. He's going to be blowing coolant lines pretty soon too. So just watch your RPMs. Your coolant gauge is going to go up a little bit. You're going to watch your oil temps. 240 is fine. As soon as we get to the top, as long as you start dissipating the heat, everything's working as it should. If you start retaining the heat and it doesn't go away, you got a problem. And then of course, anything under 50 miles an hour, when you hit 50, you need to be putting your flashers on. That's letting all the other truckers and everybody know that you are at least doing 50 or slower. So other than that, I'm not deep in the throttle right now. Just watching your gauges, making sure that we're not over boosting, and making sure we're not getting too hot. Just take it nice and easy, and when you get up there is when you get up there. And I'm not sure how big I have belt this way in a long time. There's just traffic up the ass right now, which is surprising for 1:50 on a Thursday afternoon. Why is there so many people out on the interstate? But as you can see, I'm just walking up the hill. You know, we're loaded down, we're nice and heavy. We're not racing anybody. And as soon as we get up on top, I'll show you what you gotta do. So the general rule of thumb is whatever gear you go up the hill in, you drop at least one gear to go down. So This whole hill we're climbing in 4th gear. So going down, we need to be going down in 3rd gear. So getting at the top of the hill is not the time to start grabbing gears and giving her hell, boys. So you're going to get in trouble because you're just going to have to slow down. So the other thing we have to do is what's called stab braking. And this is a term you need to know if you're getting your CDL, or if you got your CDL, you had to learn this term. The hard part is you go to a CDL school and they can only teach you on paper and tell you what it is, not what to do. And there's no real life experience unless you live in the mountains. And your school teaches you through the mountains. So what stab braking is you need to stay in your lower gear, which is why you lock it in manual, because we don't want the transmission jumping around. Like even right here, there's a little bit of a lull. It could probably shift up, but we're not going to. We're going to hold it. The less shifting you do on that transmission, the better off it is. Just let it ride it out. Just basically driving with your toe. But, so stab braking is you keep it in low gear and you watch your RPMs, and usually within about a 10 mile per hour range is what you want to keep it in. So you can see we're at the top. We're barely putting out any boost. So we're just going to hang here. Let it cool down. Let it circulate that oil. Look, we got more going up. So let it circulate the oil. Let it cool down. We got another pull to make. Hopefully we're going down then. But, so stab braking is you keep it in a low RPM. And let's say the speed limit is 60 miles an hour for trucks going downhill. Which is generally, that's pretty quick. Usually on the steep grades, it's like 35, 45, 55 max. So for general purposes today, we'll say 60 miles an hour. So what we want to do is before we drop down, we're going to slow it down to 50 miles an hour. And we're going to stay in that lower gear. And you're just going to let it roll. And then when you hit 60, you're going to step on the brakes. You're going to get on the brakes hard. That's why it's called stab braking. You're going to get on the brakes hard until it gets back down to like 45 or 50 miles an hour. And then you're going to let off. We're not going to ride the brakes. You're not going to pussyfoot the brakes, because that is creating so much heat and it's not doing anything for you that no matter what you do, you're going to burn up your brakes. You can start your brakes on fire, start your tires on fire, blow brake lines. Before you know it, you're doing 120 down the hill. So when I did heavy haul, we had to drop down into way down. We had to drop like 3 gears when we got to the top of the hill before we went down. And sometimes that wasn't enough. I mean, when you're over 200,000 pounds, that's a lot to hold back. But we will. I'll show you that when we start going down. I have a set RPM range that I won't go over. I will not go over 3 grand. So if I am cranking hard and it's just gaining speed, I mean, it is what it is. You kind of need to slow it down more and get into a lower gear. Ford is notorious for not having crap for an engine brake. I know Dodge is pretty good, Chevy's pretty good. That's one part where Ford lacks. They do not have an engine brake for shit. So if I can do this heavy loaded with a Ford, you can do this with your truck. So right here, we're going to start going downhill. We're going to see what it looks like. As you can see, we're not in the throttle. Right now, it is just coasting. And yeah, we're going to grab third just to show you what it's like. So there you go. We went down into third. And running about 2.5, about 45. So the higher RPMs you have, the more engine brake you have. But I don't like to cruise that high. So you're watching them temps, you see them temps, that oil temp is already dropping. It hit 50. Let's bring it down to 40. We're hard on the brakes. Bring it down to 40, let off. It's right there. So you're just gradually letting it up. Well, this is what you do in the wintertime too, but obviously a lot slower. And you can see it's holding at 45. We got a little bit of a lull. We'll go around the corner. I'd be willing to bet it's going to drop down again. But in the wintertime, one thing you got to watch for is traction. You break traction, you're losing control. And with a heavy trailer pushing on the back of your truck, if you ever feel you're going down the hill like this, as you can see, we're just gradually rolling, we're holding speed, but we're getting into some drops and some corners. So that's going to gradually build up. And you want to brake before you get into the corner. A hard brake before you get into the corner, bring it down. Kind of hard to get both of them, but there we go. Bring it down and just let it coast. There's no throttle involved in any of this. So in the wintertime, if your trailer starts to push you, you feel your ass in your truck kick. Some guys just say, we'll get on the throttle. Yeah, you can get away with that on a flat ground, but going downhill, gaining speed is the last thing you need. You're just snowballing the effects that you need to slow down, within a couple seconds later. So, if you feel it kick out, grab your brake controller. Ford's got an integrated one right there. Squeeze them two tabs together, nice and light. Don't slam them together, you'll lock the brakes up and break traction. And like I said, you don't want to break traction. So, grab that, that'll pull. You feel it start to tug on the trailer, that'll pull your back end, that'll pull you nice and tight. That's the way to do that. Last resort, do you ever want to hit the throttle to get out from a trailer pushing on you? If something goes bad or something breaks, the higher speed you have, the worse it's going to be. If something happens, God forbid you send her down in the ditch, that's that much more inertia to slow down. So as you can see, this held us pretty good. We keep our four-ways on the whole time, so we're under 50. We can go up a gear now because we're getting down towards the edge here. We're able to hold it back pretty good. On a steep hill, mountain grade, obviously that is more excessive. When I go through Colorado, do that same concept, you're doing a little bit more braking though. You're stab braking like that though. You see a lot of guys coming down the hill and just the brake lights are on halfway down the hill the whole time. And that is not what you want. If you do get into the occasion where you find yourself overheating your brakes, you are going way too fast. You need to slow the truck down, get it in the lower gear, and just stay going slower and stay off the brakes as much as possible, but do not stop. There's a lot of guys I've seen doing it, and it's the worst thing you can do. is you got your brakes smoking, you slam on the brakes and you get it off the side of the road and you sit. Well, all that hot air is just cooking. You need to keep them tires rolling and keep the wind blowing through there as safe as possible. Or not as safe as possible, but keep the wind blowing through there, and that's going to cool all that down for you. Just stay off the brakes as much as you can. So that is the way you get down through the mountains, up and down. Hope that helps, and we'll touch base later on here when we get down to Idaho. All right, guys, as you can see, we made it. We are here, minutes to spare, and we're all in one piece. And so just one thing to add about all that video we did about driving up the mountain. When you're in manual mode and you're downshifting, don't leave your foot to the wood. If you want that transmission to last, get out of it. Back off the throttle for just a split second and then just easy roll into it once it shifts gears. If you're coming from 6th into 5th, click the button down in 6th, let off the throttle, let that thing shift, and then just slowly just roll into it. Don't put it to the floor. You're going to save your U-joints, you're going to save your drive shaft. Excuse me. You're going to save your tranny. The truck's going to be happy. It's going to last you. So, as for this, I'm going to talk to a guy when I got here. I don't know who he was. He was a GM or something, but he tried to tell me I was at the wrong address at first. They don't sell these here. Well, those are Catalinas. I'm looking at a Catalina right now. But the Catalina's over there. So, whatever. I'm at the right address. He went as far as to tell me, well, wherever I want to park is fine. If I want to unload them wherever I feel is a good spot to unload them, just go ahead and unload them. I don't know if that was a trap or what, but one good thing to do here is we're going to check out the property before we go tooling around with this big old trailer. And check out the property, see which way is the best way to load. Obviously, when you're unloading, what we're looking at right now is we're going to be looking for the grade of the parking lot. Which side's the low side? You know, I'm almost thinking, looking at it right now, I'm almost thinking it'd be a good time for me to find a spot to turn this thing around, face the other way, put my nose towards the road, and just offload them campers right there in the corner. That might not be a bad idea. As you can see, it's graded down that way, so that's going to help me, but let's see what the rest of the parking lot looks like. Maybe the other side will be a little bit better. I know it sure as hell I ain't getting back there. So we'll check it out. There you go. Should be done. I'll let you know if we got anything going back. I'm still waiting to find out tomorrow. As for that, get you on the next one.